Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Dana Price, Amber Dog Productions. I had a question or a comment from Outdoor Mishaps that was asking me if I've done a review on my big fish. He had noticed in one of my videos that I use a Big Fish 105, and actually I have not done a review on one. There's lots of reviews out there on people who comment on their stability, weight and specifications and all that kind of stuff. And I'm very familiar with those, and if you're researching one of these particular kayaks, no doubt you've seen them too. But something struck me when Outdoor Mishaps said that, was that I don't use this kayak typically, in 99.9% of the time, like probably most people who would buy this kayak do. If you follow my channel, you've seen that I do a lot of my videos on scenery, photography, underwater video, things like that. A good chunk of my channel has a lot of that on it. And this is the craft of choice. I started off with a Lifetime Tamarack 100, like many people. We still have two of them and use them frequently. Great kayaks. However, as I kind of progressed into this and things changed, what I discovered was I actually enjoyed doing the video and photo more than I enjoyed fishing, which was kind of odd. But I did start off fishing with the Tamarack, and I have had this fishing numerous times. It is an incredible craft. So let me kind of show you some of the things that I use and some of the things that I've purchased. Keep in mind, there is a plethora of things out there, but if you're new to looking at this kind of a kayak, there's a couple things you might want to know. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. So I can just show you what I do and what I use. And if it works for you, great. If you're looking for a video photography platform, I can tell you unequivocally, this is a beast. It will do everything you need it to do. It tracks shallow water. It tracks deep waters just fine. With the rudder, which I will tell you right now, you're going to hear questions and comments from people who are looking into the big fish line. Is the rudder necessary? Does it make that big of a deal? Yes. If you're going to buy a Big Fish 105, 120, 108, and there's another one out there, whatever, the pedal drives and stuff, I can tell you right now, at least for the 120 and the 105, I'll speak to those two because I have the experience with them. Get a rudder. Just don't even question it. Get the rudder. Either have someone install it or install it yourself. It's not that difficult. There's plenty of videos out there on how to do it. But get the rudder. Okay, so let's get on with this. So this is my Big Fish 105. It's in the gray camo, as you can see. I'm absolutely in love with this craft. So there's a couple of things. You'll notice that I would recommend when you buy one of these, they do not come with a paddle like some of the kit ones do and stuff. They come with a real cheesy, flimsy paddle. This is a heavier kayak. Okay, this thing is not a joke. You're not going to throw this on your back. So when you buy your paddle, make sure you buy a solid one. It's going to be a little bit longer because this is a fairly wide kayak. It is a cathedral hull, tri-hull. So it's a heavier kayak, which leads to some of its stability. Keep that in mind. White caps, whatever. This thing is a beast. So you need a beast of a paddle. In this particular case, I have an Ascend paddle that I picked up off Marketplace, and it's certainly not your top of the line kind of thing, and I'm going to be honest with you, I bought it because of the color. I do have a much beefier, heavy-duty kayak paddle for this kayak, and if I know I'm going to be going into an area that is likely to have rougher waters, I take that one. This is a little bit lighter, but the paddle blades on it are very rigid. This is the angler's version. You can see with the notches in it to retrieve your fishing lines or whatever. So if that's kind of a neat thing. You'll notice this on some paddles. If you're an angler, that's kind of handy. And you get your drip rings, whatever. So this has been a very good paddle for lakes and stuff. It's lightweight, it's long, and it works really well. And of course the kayak leash. Now what I do with this one is I typically take this, and you've got these little rubber things here, which are, I believe, to help hold your fishing poles down or something. And I just take a little clip and I clip them onto this like that. So in case I drop it, it doesn't float away, because these do float. And the other thing I have on here from Yak Attack. I have these roll locks, okay? And these you just position on your tracks wherever you want. And I use these quite a bit. They're really handy. They work fantastic. So when you're cruising along and you want to set your pedal down, you can just drop it right there and hold it in place. Or you can push it down and it locks it, okay? And if you're gonna drift, you can turn this like a sail and position it to catch some little bit of extra wind and use your rudder while you're fishing, or in my case, you know, video filming, whatever. And it'll drive you along at a smooth, you know, smooth rate, and you just use your rudders while you're filming to keep yourself going the track you want along the bank or wherever you want to go. So those are really handy because you don't have your paddle flopping around all over the place and kind of getting in the way. So get that off there. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, another thing that a lot of people talk about on these, when you're going to hear some reviews, oh, the floors are noisy, it scares the fish. You know, they're hard plastic like, you know, the rest of the kayak. Okay, so you're going to hear this one a lot. Get a yoga mat. I took out my floor pan. It is removable, and I just cut out a yoga mat that fits the floor pan, and I just take that, lay it in there like that, and it fits precisely. This is a little thing, I roll it up, and when it's rolled up, it stows right in here for travel. Fits really well, okay? And that keeps things nice and quiet now, okay? And it gives you a little bit of extra traction. Some people, I mean, there's a lot of ideas, AstroTurf, you know, shop mats, thicker ones. There's a million ideas. This is just one that I did. Had a yoga mat on hand, and there it was. So a couple things about the kayak. I have the Yak Attack locking anchor trolley, and it's got the lever lock, and it's got this little lever, so when you use your anchor trolley, you know, you got your anchor on there and you're moving it around or whatnot, you're sitting here pulling this, it moves this and it just goes over these. I did a video that displayed some of this in an earlier video of mine that you can go back and actually see. And so I'm not going to go too much in depth with that, but I do use an anchor trolley sometimes if I want to hold position. And the lever lock locks this in place so it can't move. But yeah, check, there's lots of videos on the lever lock. But if you're an angler or you just want to park somewhere, this is a ticket. I also did a video, I believe the video is on the quick release system for this. If you're going to use an anchor, a quick release is very good. So check that video out. I don't know how to insert links like some of these pro video guys do, so dig for it. So, it's back there. Okay, and then some of the other things I use, I've got this little attachment here, and this is a Scotty mount. It's adjustable, you know, as a ball mount kind of a thing. And this is for a compass, camera, whatever you want to put on it. And you'll notice it has a GoPro mount on it right here. And this is a standard camera mount underneath here. So you can mount anything that has a standard camera mount, which is kind of handy. Anyway, what I do is I mount this back here like that, and it locks in, okay? And then I mount a camera on here that I can then pan, you know, this way, or just have it mounted, just turn it like that, and it'll do a side shoot. I can angle it up here, and because the GoPro's wide field of view, you know, it gets a really cool view. And so that's kind of what I use this one for. And you just loosen the base, and you can slide them on the tracks wherever you want. Up here, this is another Scotty mount that is a transducer. Okay, this is for hanging a transducer for fishing, and it's completely adjustable to depth and however you want. For what I use it for, though, you have a tensioner right here. You just loosen it and you can drop this in. So the idea is I use this right here like you would normally if you're going to mount a transducer, and this arm is, you know, a couple extension arms I've put on this to get it away from my kayak for what I use it for. And normally you would have this come down into the water for your transducer, so you'd obviously configure it down to be this arm would come down further so that your transducer mounts right here down under the water. I don't use it for that. I use it, I set my tension appropriately, and then I actually use this for my downrigger camera, my underwater camera rig. So as I sit here in the kayak, I can reach out and I can just lift this up, grab my rigging and set it in the kayak, and you know, whatever I need to do. And then when I get ready to deploy it, I drop it out and I lower my arm out there to, you know, what I want, and I lock the arm. And then I use this for side tracking, forward tracking, reverse tracking, whatever I need to do. This is basically supporting my underwater camera rig. And it's been really wonderful. The way you use these Scotty mounts, you know, you just put it kind of about where you want it, and you'll feel it kind of drop in and lock. And once it locks, it does. This second hub right here, you just turn this in this case to the right, and then it just lifts right out, unlocks it. Really, Scotty and Yak have both done a great job. With that said, this is a Yak Attack coffee cup holder, drink, whatever. And I want to draw your attention to this right here. You'll notice this silver one here is the Yak Attack standard mount for the rails, standard rails. Feel Free and Big Fish use a different type of rail, kind of a proprietary thing. Some people complain about it, whatever. It is what it is. There is an adapter, which is this one, that sits like this, and that adapts it to the Feel Free Big Fish tracks. Now, there's a lot of hacks out there. You can make these things out of different types of washers, whatever, because there's always kind of that fun to DIY it. So there's plenty of options out there. Given that I'm running some expensive camera gear, I opted not to do that. I wanted to go ahead and get the correct, the correct adapters. And so you just slide these in on the tracks wherever you want them, and then you screw this down and it locks it. And trust me, they lock in very well, okay? And for the anglers out there, this particular Yak Attack mount, this goes over here, and I have used this. This is great. Your pole, your rod holder, this just sits on, you unlock it here, and then you just drop it on to whatever angle you prefer it to be at, and then flip this little lever over, and you just drop your pole. And if you want to lock your pole so the fish doesn't grab it, you just roll that over, and then your reel can't come out. Okay, so if you catch yourself something on there, it's very easy to rotate. It has like a detent that locks it right there, and then you overcome the detent to, if you're, whichever way you want to spin it. So you can grab your pole very quickly. You grab, you flip it and get that and rip your pole right out. It is completely adjustable, right in here it's spring loaded, and it's got a really good detent in it for whatever angle you want. And so don't worry about that. It's adjustable out here as well for your angle, and then this way, so you can adjust this to any angle you want. And it comes off pretty easy. There is something of note you do need to pay attention to. On this type of locking mechanism, it looks like you just grab this and flip it out, okay? But there's a lock behind it. If you look inside, there's another tab right there in the middle. So when you unlock these, or you get reinstall or uninstall this, make sure you get that little, unlock that tab and then pull this whole thing out. And then it goes on real easy and comes off real easy. And then when you close it, you'll actually hear it click. Okay? So excellent rod holders. Scotty makes them as well that work really well. I particularly chose this one because it just felt a little stronger, and I really liked the more fine-tuning adjusting. So that's why I have this one. For my camera gear, this is a Telson Dome. This is one of my camera pieces that I utilize to give me 50-50 shots above and below. And one thing I've kind of found is these rod holders back here are fantastic for holding that when I need to just stow it. Okay, there's one on each side that come from the factory that works fantastic, and that's kind of where I keep that. The cargo hold back here is a large cargo hold on the 105. It's plenty big enough for your milk crate. I have the Flambeau big gray one with the double decker and all that stuff, and the rod holders into it, and it fits in here just fine. I did mount tennis balls underneath it just to raise it up a little bit, and didn't need to, but I wanted to. I just liked it that way. And you got bungee cords and stuff like that to hold stuff down. And up here, you got bungee cords up here, and I'm running these rubber scupper plugs that are full of muck. I know where that came from, Frog Lake. And so I use these rubber ones like this. They work really well. They've served me well. They don't leak, and they're really solid, so they're going to last a long time. So yeah, that's a good one. This is your stand-up strap. So when you're in the kayak, if you need to, I don't really use it much anymore. I just kind of grab the sides and just stand up. And this thing is crazy stable to stand up in, so don't worry about that. But if you need to your first couple times, this is kind of cool. I did use it the first couple times. I'm like, oh boy, I'm really going to do this. And do it in shallow water. And so you just kind of grab this and just kind of ease yourself up a little bit as you stand up, and then have your feet kind of wide, bend your knees a little bit, and you'll probably be a little bit timid about it, honestly. I was, and maybe if you're half crazy, you're just like, oh, here we go. But yeah, this tri-hull, cathedral hull they call it, it is crazy stable. I have seen videos of people literally standing on the sides of this thing and not flipping it. But that, you know, knowing that is different than doing it, okay? But that's all this is. And here I have my adjustable pedals here, foot supports with the top piece on it. Rotates your rudder in the back. And one thing that confuses some people about this, when you use the rudder, one thing you need to do when you're pushing the pedal, okay, I'll do it this way. When you're pushing to the right, you need to let pressure off of this foot, like pull this foot off a little bit and then push this one, because it's a pulling system. So if you've got pressure on the left foot and you're trying to drive with the right foot to turn, this foot's naturally going to keep the whole system from operating. So just ease the pressure up when you're pushing on either way, and you'll figure it out. You'll get a feel for it. But just, you know, there's a lot of people that complain, oh, it's really hard to steer, it's really hard to steer, and somebody will say, inevitably, take your foot off the opposing side from the one you're trying to push on and see what happens. And then of course they always come back and go, oh yeah, that works. So it's, you know, it works really well. The system does work well, and it's completely adjustable for tension and whole 9 yards. I have found this rudder to be an absolute lifesaver. And then up here you have your cargo hatch. This is actually supposed to be for a battery box, you know, a transducer box, things. This compartment does lift and come out if you want. I just use it as a cooler. I put my ice packs down in there. The bottom of it is in the water, so if I'm in cold water, which I often am, the ice packs, and I put my lunch in there and stuff, it works great. So that is how I use this. Latch is a little bit goofy, but once you understand how they work, kind of go upside down hook and then roll in. They're kind of strange, but they work. The seat. I have found this seat to be very comfortable right out of the box. It is completely adjustable in its stowed position. That's completely stowed for travel, like that. And you can raise it up at a low position. You can bring it this way if you really want to kick back and enjoy some sunshine. You can raise the back end up and go here into the full upright if you choose. And of course, kayak's sitting, I'm on my cart right now, so it's sitting in a little bit of an angle, so turn your head. Here, we'll do this. Level kayak. Okay, so you can see the angle of the seat. Okay, and so that works too. Another interesting feature about this particular seat is that if you choose to, you can bring it in the middle, push it down in the back, and do this. And then on the sides, you'll find these straps, okay? These straps go over the ends like this. And what this is for is so you can fold this up and you can lean against this while you're standing and fishing. And I have actually stood like this several times and done handheld video. But this is a really nice option that you can do. And again, you know, when you're comfortable standing up here, you'll find that you have a lot of room in here to kind of just stand and look around and cast and whatever you want to do. And it's pretty cool. And it is adjustable if you don't like how far back it's leaning. You just grab these tabs right here and you just snug it up some and it will give it, you know, if you want to be completely upright and lean your butt against it or whatever, you're good to go. And these are anchored down into the kayak. They're made into the kayak and they just stow in these little side pockets where I like to stick all kinds of neat stuff. You do have, down here you have the leash bands for your fishing rods that you clip onto your rod. They come stock with it. They're in there already. And then there's a zippered pocket on the back. And I keep my gloves and my hat and stuff in there like that. And that's typically what I do. So, and then in the back you have anchor tie-down cleats and things like that to hook down. There are tie-downs all over this thing. Your drain plug is right here. When you do have the rudder, one thing you want to do with the rudder when you're gonna, if you need to ever drain this, to drain it, you're going to want to do this and roll that about there, because you're going to want to roll the kayak on its sideways and then lift it some for the drain to be able to drain out without, you know, breaking your rudder. So, and so this is how you operate your rudder, just like that in the stowed position. When you're sitting there, you just pull it forward off this lock here and it just drops down nice and easy, and there it is, and back up. So that, there's one other thing that I do like, because I typically do a lot of sitting while I'm filming. I found these. Now, the seat is comfortable on its own. However, these are certainly sweet to add. I do that. And this is a back support, and this goes on like this. And I just hook it over these like that, and that sits like this. And they're memory foam. They're just Goodyear car seat pads. I found them at Bi-Mart, and they add to a more comfortable day if you're going to be spending a lot of time out there, and they're fantastic. So I'm gonna get a couple close-ups of some of these parts, give you a little more, you know, detail on some things like that, and hopefully this will help somebody out. And I'll also show how I use this cart. I use a C Tug. There is a Wilderness Systems cart out there that a lot of people really like. It's a heavy-duty, different design that the main bars fit inside the cathedral hull part, and a lot of people love that one. I didn't know about it when we got the C Tug. I actually love the C Tug. It works fantastic for me, but we'll get back to that. Okay, so here's the Three Waters feel-free beaver tail, they call this, and you can see the mount system that they have right here. It's pretty rigid. It does move a little bit, and that's okay. But the nice thing is that in the down position, when it's all the way down, if you were to hit a rock or something, it's able to rise up. So let me come over here and lower this down for you. And here's the string. So I just take this and you pull it off the cleat and lower it down just like that. And it's sprung in the down position, not in the up. And there it is in the down position. That's my dog. And you can see its draft down here is pretty good. So, and this has got a really wide blade, and if it does come in like this, it's able to hit there. So if you back into something, yeah, you know, you could turn it sideways and whatnot. So, but if you hit a rock or something, see, it's able to come up just fine, then it will spring right back down. These mounts are made out of metal. This is some kind of an ABS or plastic or something. And this right here is like a tensioner that you can tension if it's too hard to raise and lower. But if you can do this with it, you know, it's tuned correctly, okay? So there's not a lot to read into this. It's very simple to mount, and the cables you can see run right up into the body. There's lots of videos on how to properly do this. Like you can see right now, mine has gotten turned over somewhere, so I have to flip that around back onto that. So that's something that I need to, I'll just flip it back over. It's piece of cake, easy to do, standard maintenance. This is the drain plug. So, and it doesn't have a string on it, but it has a catch on it. So you can see these two little pins, you know, and you can remove it if you like. So but that way it won't just fall out. And these are replaceable if you were somehow to lose it. Okay. And let's see, here's that mount I was referring to right here. You can see this little piece right here. It springs out. So when you turn it that way, it unlocks it. I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not. Probably not. I don't know. There it is. Okay. And so you see it springs back in, and those tines lock into these ribs in here. So, like that. So you just put it in like that, and it locks in, piece of cake. Just make sure that one thing I have discovered is that when you turn this thing and you pull it out, make sure it comes into the back position. Because if it hyperextends out and these tabs are in the raised position after you've removed the your whatever it is device that's in here. So if it's out like that and you hyperextend it, these plastic tabs that are mounted right here will get shaped to the out position and nothing will lock. So what I did, I actually had that happen. This is how I know. I took a small nut on each side, and I used a clamp and clamped them to push them to the end, you know, to hold them in. And then I used a heat gun to heat those two ends up right here on each side. There's one on each side. And then ran it under the cold water to reset it, and it works fine now. So that's, if that does happen, there's your fix. Okay? And there's the mat I was referring to. So you can see the mat and how it works and the stand-up strap. Okay? And your foot pedals right here that are adjustable. And you adjust them by lifting this tab up to the unlock position. And then you can move them however you like them. And then when you find how you like them, you just push them down again and you're good to go, just like that. Okay, and here's the roll locks I was referring to right here. You can see they just kind of roll and they work really good. You can use just one if you want, you know, if you want to just run it however, but I chose to use two. And here's the latches I was referring to. These latches, they're a little weird to get used to them. Interesting design. So this could, because this thing can flip around like this, okay? So it's really simple once you get the hang of it, but the thing is you hold it like this and then turn it down. It seats in those two pockets, if I can get in there. Seats in those two pockets, and then you just go like that, piece of cake. Now there is another question a lot of people seem to have about this, is how do I get the box out? Well, okay, you'll notice right here is an arrow that faces forward. This plug is to run your wires for your transducer assembly. And there is some speculation. These little straps are for, I don't know, hook a battery, hold a battery or whatever. But what you do to get this out, I've never actually taken this out because I've never needed to. But the idea is you take these two straps and you squeeze them in, and it supposedly comes out. And I'm sure it's hard to do, but I'm not going to do it because I don't need to. But anyway, that's once. I also understand once you've done it several times, starts to come out easier. But like I said, I just use it for a cooler, so I don't have no reason to remove it, although I have thought about pulling it out and dropping a camera rig down through there. So I'm still toying with that one. So that's that. And your straps up here. These, you'll notice these up here. These are some holes that follow along this channel here. And these are for when you're transporting your kayak. You can run your rods, lay your rods down in there. They come through here, and these are tip protectors. So you run your tips in there for transporting. Some people like them, some people don't. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, don't use them. No problem. And the Yak Attack lever lock anchor trolley system is on here. And we already covered that. And there's the strap for the C Tug. We'll get to that in just a second. And this side of the kayak, these ends, by the way, these ends, you just remove these. If you need to slide something in, you just remove these little rubber caps, slide in, put the rubber caps back on. And nice solid handles for grabbing a hold of. This is a paddle lock. You put your paddle in there if you don't have these. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. This ought to be funny. So you grab the strap, lay it in there. That goes like that, and there it is. That's how you use those. I personally like these because it gives me something to kind of hold on to when I want, but I have used these before earlier on, and they worked really well. but I use these as a sail quite a bit, which is one of the reasons I like them. So all in all, that's kind of the rundown of it. It's got a very aggressive front on it with a molded in handle, which is really nice. Not a strap that's going to break. And I ran a little bit of tape down underneath there for a little scuff protection, because I do love this kayak. And I want to make sure it lasts as long as I can. Now, the C Tug cart, we're going to cover that real quick here. Let me get down underneath here, raise the beaver tail. Okay. The C Tug cart. You'll notice underneath here how it fits. You see the pads, okay? How those pads are. Now, the way you get the C Tug to do this is those pads are designed from the factory to be able to unsnap from the cross frame, and then you can turn them around and flip sides to make it fit a varying amount of kayaks for their shape and hull design. So when they come from the factory, they're set up one way. Now, what you do in this case is I pulled them off and flipped them around as they're designed to do for this style of a hull. And you'll notice how these pads, how they lay into that, okay? And then they support there. Now, it holds this thing because those pads sit like that. Because those pads sit like that, this thing will not fall off. It is rock solid, be it asphalt, sand, you know, dirt, rocks, it doesn't matter. This thing holds solid. And this is the kickstand. You lower that down. When you set the cart down, you're going to put your kayak on it. And so what I found, the easiest way to do this is when you shore it up, you take and you set the cart, you take and set the cart on the side, but angle it towards the bow. Or, yeah, bow. I'm not much of a shipman. That end to front. And so you don't set it down parallel to the kayak. You actually set it down and angle it towards the front a little bit, because what you're going to do is you pick up the back of the kayak with the handle, you lift it up, and when you pivot it this way, you're still aiming towards the front of the kayak, and so's the cart. So you set it down there, and you kind of jiggle it, and it'll drop right into place. And it's really that easy. It might take you a time or two to kind of get a feel for it, so you know what angle to set it at. But once you've discovered I need it about here, and you'll notice that's about where I put it. So I would put it right here across from where it needs to go and just angle it in. I just pick up the kayak, set it down. When you feel it lock in, take a peek underneath the back end, see if it's locked in like I just showed you. And then your straps will come right up here, okay? And right about the front of these tracks seems to be a really good spot. And the other cool thing is, on my particular truck, yours may be, may be different, but on my particular truck, when the bow of my kayak is against the front of the bed, the wheels sit inside of a divot of the tailgate. And so this thing just sits rock solid on these wheels like that. And then I tie it down and I'm good to go. And it works fantastic like that. Now granted, I have a 2016 Tacoma 2-door with those 2 little extra doors, full-length bed. Now, if you've got a full-size truck or shorter truck, your wheels may hang over the edge of the tailgate, whatever. But in my case, with the Tacoma, it works like it was made for it. It's a really cool little divot right there that these wheels just cradle right into. So I just slide my kayak, the nose of it, up there, and I come around to the back. I pick up the back, shove it right in, and then set it down. The wheels are on the tailgate, lock it down, and out I go. Piece of cake. So hopefully there's been some information in this video that helped you out, helped you understand a little more about the big fish, perhaps how I use it. Do bear in mind that when I take this out doing video work, I've got a lot more cameras on this thing, but due to its platform and its capabilities and stability, this thing can run as many cameras above, at, and below water level than I need, I'm also able to use the hatch up here, the box, the transducer box, as a lift pad for my DJI Mini. I can lift off there. But do bear in mind, return home is a bad idea when you're on a kayak, okay? So I haven't done it, but think about that. So this craft for a photographer, videographer, although it's made for fishing, this craft, I can tell you, for a camera ship is staggeringly wonderful. Again, its stability is incredible. So as a fishing kayak, it's incredible. That's what it's designed for. It will not disappoint. It will not let you down. And as you use it, you'll gain more confidence in its stability. It's relatively agile. It can shallow draft, like I said, deep water, like, you know, it's got the sharp bow to cut waves. It's really a complete package. It really is. At this point in time, there's a lot of kayaks out there. I just happen to own this one, and I can tell you right now, this leaves nothing to be desired for me. So with that, thanks for watching. Welcome to my channel. I had a request, or